think we're... Well, I don't know why the Twitch isn't loading. Oh, there we are. Okay. I can see the stream. Things seem to be working. My Thames are all healed up. All I can see is Shermie's Thames too. Very nice indeed. Hello there, random citizen. Good to see you. As you were. Here we go. That's better. Let's take a seat. Wait for Shermie and we're going to start up the podcast. Oh my Jesus. Maybe I can turn off the in-game chat. UI, quiz trackers, backpack folds. Display chat. Off. There we go. Well, that's something. Boo. Ba-doo, 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 ba-doo. Hey, what's up, Deez? Hello. How's it hanging?
Friend, decent sized tree here.
Ooh!
We're live.
Rich, you put the cock in cock. Rich, you put the cock in cockney.
What's up? Can you hear me, Shermie?
I put the cock in my mouth.
Yes, I can.
What?
Anyways,
Why would you say that?
Why would you say that on the camera?
So my entire stream's gonna burn, 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 burn. Oh my god. This VOD is not gonna be posted. I'm too embarrassed.
Nah, I post it. You
okay. Anyways.
You won't.
Anyways,
Slash you will. Thanks for the cheer. I also love cock. Appreciate it, Deez.
What?
Deez Pawns just cheered and said, "I love cock." Agreed.
I mean, I
agree
do
to
too, but, like,
agree to
who
agree.
Doesn't? Who doesn't? But like, the main focus today is Jurassic Park.
Yes.
One of my favorite movies of all time. So I gotta ask first, what is your favorite dinosaur?
My favorite dinosaur? Ooh. Okay. I
Cheer one chickens who?
I don't like the stegosaurus because they eat the trees and that's mean. That's bad.
I mean, you mean the brachiosaurs?
Brachiosaurs.
Who,
yeah.
Like they're the ones in the movie who are specifically eating trees.
That's them. Okay, I just know the stegosaurus because of
My fave dino is one neither of you would know.
Oh, I'm interested to hear what your favorite dino.
Stegosaurus.
I'm interested to hear what your favorite dinosaur is. I think it's
a modded one.
It's my favorite is probably the Velociraptor. I know it's an easy pick. But I do like the Velociraptor a lot. I do think if you're just talking about the ones in the movie, yeah, the Indominus is cool.
Just in general.
In general, it's probably the Velociraptor. In the movie, it's probably the Spitter. It's that
The Dilophosaurus.
Yeah, I'm very bad with the names, but yeah. That's a really cool
fun
dinosaur.
fact about the Dilophosaurus.
I think it's called Subject 13. I don't remember.
Like in the movies they did, but like in actuality, I'm pretty sure they didn't actually do that.
Mm.
Like a lot of
They didn't actually do
a
what?
lot of the spit acid.
Oh,
Or,
okay.
like, in general.
It's from a
lot
TV
of
show.
The movie dinosaurs are very fictionalized and not actually. I mean, to the time, they were scientifically accurate, but now we know, like 2024, we now know that dinosaurs most likely had proto-feathers, which are a type of feathers that didn't have the function of, like, flying, although some small raptors could use them to pseudo-glide, but, like something like the Tyrannosaurus Rex most likely had some kind of pseudo-feathers on it for keeping cool and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because, that's just how they were. And, like, their evidence of it was, like, in modern, like, our birds, a lot of their bones, like, they have, like, little dents in them, which is where, like, the feathers are.
Sure.
And there's evidence in that in some of the dinosaur fossils we found. Now, it was hard to tell if that was just, like, sediments from them, like, wearing down or something, or, like, actual evidence of proto-feathers.
Fascinating. Yeah, you know, watching the film this time around, it was really interesting to see the perspective of truly like a scientist experiencing this.
There's evidence that the Trex was a vulture-like hunter.
Rabbit.
Like
Rabbit? October Raccoon, I'm sorry. October Raccoon just came to my chat, donated to me, and I'm like, thank you, October Rabbit, not Raccoon.
But like the element of the of like the scientist experiencing this crazy experience of seeing the dinosaurs that they study, they dedicate so much of their life to. It's just absolutely like it comes off very well in the film. I really enjoyed that aspect a lot. I also appreciated this time watching it how fucking funny the movie is. Oh my goodness, it's funny. Like mostly Ian Malcolm is where a lot of the comedy comes from. But also billiards. Also, the stuff with Laura Dern and the main character, him not liking children.
Alan?
Yeah, like him not liking children, and
having to deal with them.
Yeah, exactly. That was really fun to watch in the film. And like there's this whole scene where she forces the kid to go in the car with him. The kid that like really likes dinosaurs. That was super entertaining.
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite lines is, "I brought scientists, and you brought a rock star." It was like that when they were on the helicopter.
Yeah, he's talking specifically about Jeff Goldblum's character.
Guy?
Yeah. Which he's a really like fun asshole character. It can be difficult to do asshole characters really well, but that one comes off super strong. I really enjoy Ian Malcolm.
He has a bigger role in the sequel.
Yeah, but he's also in the remake, not the remakes, the World movies, which you know.
He's not actually. All three of the original actors were in the third World movie.
Oh, were they all?
All three of them, all three of the actors and all three of the characters were in the third one. That was just more like a nostalgia bait, you know.
Yeah, I can see that. I think I've only saw the first two, and I know that Ian Malcolm was in the second one, but I definitely didn't watch the new film. That was absolutely out of my interest house. Also,
yeah, I'm just simple-minded. I like dinosaurs.
Valid. No, that's not simple-minded. That's knowing your niche. I absolutely respect that.
How do you catch other pals in this game?
So you need to shut the fuck up. You go to
Digimon.
You go to the bag, and then from the bag you press the Temtem card thing.
I need to.
Yeah, we should heal.
My Tem, he's dying.
I think it should. Well, don't feed your Tem. We're going to the house, and you sleep in the house to go. Oh wait, this isn't our house. Hold on a
I just
second.
walked into somewhere-
That's not my home.
movie talk.
Movie talk, yes. Why don't you share some about the film? Because you're the one who suggested it.
Okay, so one fun fact about the movie, it was that it was by, I think it was NASA said that it is one of the top 20 most scientifically accurate movies. Which I find that to be pretty interesting, that like they actually did their research, like they actually weren't like trying to make crap up.
Sure.
And like a lot of the stuff that like they talk about then is things we do now, like genetic modification in animals.
Mm-hmm.
Like apparently there are like kittens that they put jellyfish DNA in, and their fur glows in the dark.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. The
like,
genetic splicing is that's very real.
So like both in the original and the remakes, where they use hybridization of the dinosaurs, where they splice DNA together, is something that's something we actually do now. So it's surprisingly accurate.
You know, so in terms of the accuracy discussion, one thing that I actually came across while watching the film this time was the element in the very beginning of the movie where they take like that machine and it smacks the ground really hard, and then they get the image of what's below the ground. That's like a radar sensing technology. And I actually, I went on a academic research trip as a part of my field methods course, since I'm an environmental student. And part of that course was, it was a full week out in the Mojave Desert, and we used a bunch of different like sensing techniques. And one of the things that we did was we used that like radar sensing technology. So we didn't have like a specific thumping machine, but we
looked like you loaded a shotgun shell into it.
Well, like it seemed like that. They had the two different people. It wasn't like a blast, but it was definitely like a loud thump sort of thing. But yeah, we went to and we would have like these little like pins you put into the ground. And those are sensing pins, and then we had a metal plate and a hammer, and we smacked the metal plate with the hammer, and that creates a wave, and then the distortion of that wave tells you about the difference in materials underground. So although the definition of such that they got in the movie is a bit inaccurate, the technology is real, which is I think that's consistent throughout the film, is that they take liberties to make the story happen. But the grounding of the elements used is all very real technology, you know? And I appreciate the fuck out of that. I think that's awesome.
Also, they do perfect foreshadowing in the movie. Like at the beginning, when Alan's at the dig site, and they have the little kid who's being like annoying. And he's talking. He's like, "Oh, raptors aren't scary; they're just giant turkeys." And he talks about how the raptor, there'd be one that stares you dead in the eyes, while the other two pounce from the sides.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what happens later on in the movie? When the hunter's hunting the raptors, he's staring one down. And you know what comes to his side?
Yeah, another
raptor.
Yeah, exactly. That I did catch that. Well, that was a really nice note. Also, my first big laugh of the movie was that fucking kid, and specifically how hard the professor goes on that kid, like just putting the fear of God into him.
Yeah.
Super fucking funny. Oh my god, laughed my ass off.
It's so unnecessary. He's just a kid.
My favorite character trait is hates children. I love it. I love it so much. And he really is not he's so good at being like inadequate with children, you know? It's hilarious. Oh my god, it's so fucking funny. The film like maintains that comedy really well throughout. The next thing is that that comes up is his name like Hamilton? What? Why can't?
Which character are you talking about?
The like CEO guy. Yeah, it starts with an H. I can't remember.
The old guy.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name either.
Yeah, it's fine.
I've watched this movie. I've watched the entire series at least twice, and that movie like 10 times.
That's okay.
I'm bad at remember characters' names.
It's also super late night and you just got off of work, so it's understandable.
It's late night. I just got off work.
But he's a really, really strong character. I really like the elements of him. They're like Walt Disney-esque, you know? He's very, he takes a lot of ownership over the parks and over his projects, you know? I think he's a very entertaining. He can be pretty funny at times too. He has that relatable aspect to him where he actually has a lot of passion for what he's doing. So the whole the element of like needing to make sure the park is like properly regulated and everything, those are annoyances to him. Those get in the way of his passion, and it makes him a very it's such a crucial character, right, to the film, because nothing would happen if it wasn't for him. But he's such an effective character in this sort of story.
I looked up all the characters' names, like I have a list, and I just realized that the fat guy's named Dennis Nedry, which is just Dennis Nerdy, but they switched the D and the R. Of course, they named like that guy.
What a
also,
ball.
Not many people talk about the fact that like most people point out the fact that the animals, like the dinosaurs, like the villain of these movies. But Dennis is, because, like, he got the job there. He's stealing the embryos. He turned all the security stuff off. If he wasn't there, they would just go on the tour. They'd be like, yep, it might not be so entertaining because the dinosaurs don't always come out, but it's a park, all right, and it all goes smoothly. But one guy just wanted a lot of money.
Well, I think the film also spends a lot of time establishing how crucial of a foundational mistake this all was. You know, there's the element of his name is Hammond. That's the guy's name.
Hammond,
But there's the element of, is Jeff Goldblum right? You know,
just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, exactly. How true really is that statement? And I'm of the opinion that the way that he takes the statistical approach to like chaos theory and everything is just flat out like wrong. You know, it is it's one of those like you're using the science to an end that's not founded in. It's an excuse to say that bad things happen, you know? It's not actually that profound in any way, shape, or form. But still, he does end up being right about the elements of chaos involved, and just the heightening of the situation increases the payoff, so to speak. So he's kind of a bad character that gets proven right by accident, you know? And that's very enjoyable.
And you know, it's a very good thing he brought that up, because like it is a very like smart idea. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Mm-hmm.
Because like what John Hammond said was like, well, the condors, they're going to be extinct soon. What if I did it with them? And he's like, that's beside the point, because you're taking things that nature already killed off. Because, we're going against the natural order by doing this. They're going against the natural order by doing this. This isn't like us helping a species that's going extinct. This is bringing things that nature deemed unnecessary back, which is not a smart thing.
They do a really great job of like writing for the adults in the film, and I think there's a lot of relatable dialogue in there where they talk about like I think the thing that Ian Malcolm says is that we took out the dinosaurs were taken out by nature, and man brought them back. And now, I think he said God killed the dinosaurs, man killed God, and then man brought back the dinosaurs. That was what his statement was, which it's just a really, like, all the characters respond to the situation that they're in the film very well, and extremely entertaining too. Hey, what's up, Deez?
Yeah. One of my favorite things about it is that it's made by Steven Spielberg, I believe, which means that instead of, like, whenever they used practical effects, not like, I mean, like, puppets.
Does that mean you're literally mourning wood?
Animatronics rather than CGI a lot of times, which I love that. Like, it's a movie of its time in which we can see and pick out what was animatronics, what was CGI, but they did it so well.
You know, I was wondering, as a non-super hardcore fan of the film, I was wondering which CGI effects were true to the original. I watched it on YouTube. I bought the movie on YouTube to watch it. So I can't super tell which CGI effects were there from day one or what was added later posthumously, you know? This is Temtem, is what we're playing. But they do look, like, really solid, especially for the time. It was really fun to watch because when they're showing, like, the computers, and they had, like, the DNA strands show up on the computer, that was what the extent of most, computer-generated animation looked like back then.
Mm-hmm. But, like, they were, like, a lot of the raptor scenes, those were not CGI, those were a lot of puppets.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, a lot of it was, like, actual dinosaurs, actual screaming. So that's why the reactions felt so genuine. Because it wasn't them looking at just, like, some guy in a green suit. It was this actual, real-looking head of a velociraptor going after you. And it was amazing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Also, a fun fact with the CGI... If you know the scene at the end where the Tyrannosaurus Rex is, like, where his skeleton used to be and the banner falls over him when he's fighting the velociraptors, there's a single frame where they're not rendered and they're just not there. So if you watch that
sound
scene
for the raptors' turtle sex noises,
there's a single frame where they just don't exist.
I don't know, let me ask, Shuri, do you know if the raptors' sounds were turtle sex noises? Is this known knowledge about the Jurassic Park movie?
I know a lot about it. I don't remember off the top of my head if that's true. But a fun fact about the sound effects, and this is I don't know if it's true for the original ones. I know it's true for the modern ones, but for some of the sounds of, like, the Tyrannosaurus Rex biting into things, it's people biting into, like, vegetables and celery and stuff to get a good crunch.
So I love Folly. Folly is fucking awesome.
Huh?
Folly is the art of making sounds for film. Like, so the crunchy of the character...
We call that sounding in the industry.
No, we don't call that sounding. Absolutely not. No. Bad Shuri. I'm gonna grab my fucking spray bottle out.
I'm pretty sure that's called sounding.
Shut the fuck up. There's this
Peppers are often used for drawn-out crunches.
There's this this video you can watch on YouTube by the YouTuber Jazz Emu, and he made, like, a pilot for a proposed TV show of his, and he actually works as a Foley artist in that TV show. And the first thing that the movie starts off with is, like, he's doing sound effects for a horror film, and this, like, lady, she's walking around the forest, and he's, like, stepping in a box of pebbles to make the sound effect of her like, walking around. And then like, when she screams, he just screams in a very high pitch, like, ah! Folly's freaking cool.
And did you know that since we're talking about movie sound effects, apparently the FNAF 1 jump scare scream was from a movie of a woman giving birth to an alien.
What? I did not know that.
Apparently, that's what it is.
Damn, we gotta stop killing these Pokemon so we can catch them.
We gotta stop going on tangents. We're talking about FNAF right now.
Well, I'm a man of many tangents, so
yeah,
not much to do about that.
Let's get back to the topic of Digimon, alright?
Yes, of Digimon. That's what we're here to discuss. Why don't you lead the conversation since this is your film suggestion?
Okay, so, let's see. I'm just thinking. What haven't we mentioned yet? Because this isn't, like, as, like, an in-depth movie as it was last time.
I'm gonna shift this tangent to the alien lore.
Actually, no, it's not like that, because a lot of the like, the beginning of the movie, they don't really show the dinosaurs. Like, the first scene is just, like, you see the outline of Velociraptor in the cage. You don't really get to see him. The movie doesn't feel like the modern ones where they're trying to market you on a dinosaur to like. It feels like that the dinosaurs are this, like, evil, not an evil presence, but this presence of, like, something that's out to get you. They aren't trying to...
Okay, we have to coordinate if we want to catch something, apparently. Because we both just crashed. You can have the Kaku. I also tried to catch it, yeah. So apparently that's a mechanic, is if you both try to catch the same attempt of it, you both fail. So I'll let you catch it.
Oh, and it used my Tem card?
You did. Yep. Good to know, good to know. We gotta coordinate. It is a strategy game after all.
Yeah. But, oh yeah, I got it. I got the Kaku. Rename,
Peebus McJeebus.
Perfect. Damn it, I can't name it that.
No! Fuck! Shit!
Did you see what I tried to name it?
No, I can't. I don't think I can see what you name your Pokemon. Your Temtem, sorry.
I thought they were pals.
Are they called pals? Well, no, shut the fuck up. It's getting sued, so you can't say that word anymore. The word pal is being banned from Twitch. Thanks, Nintendo. So yeah, we talked a bit about the comedy. We talked a little bit about the lawyers are coming. Lawyers, a good topic of discussion specifically for Jurassic Park. I think the idea I think the idea of having a visit to the island to help get people to speak for its safety and everything is a very interesting concept. I
don't think that's a concept. I think that's a thing that they actually do in like theme parks and stuff.
They do. That's true. But I'm talking specifically about
have to like that.
Well, I'm talking about like an idea for like the structure of the film is what I'm discussing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does make sense. Like in the modern movie, in the modern Jurassic World, they don't like have that. It's just like thrust right into the theme park, and then things go wrong.
But it's entertaining, you know, and it raises the scare factor of it too, because then you have the element of the park itself is untested, so to speak. There's an unsettling aspect there, and as well you get more tension behind the scenes too, because they're also dealing with the press. Yeah, you can show some Canada lore, D's. I'm interested to hear.
There's a lot of tension in the movie, and it's really good because, like I said before, the modern movies really feel like, to me, they're trying to sell you on a dinosaur. Like, the main thing of Jurassic World was the Indominus Rex, this cool new hybrid dinosaur that is made from all these different DNAs, and it's really smart. And then, like, the second one...
Canada is half the reason the Geneva Convention was created.
The DNA from the Indominus Rex, but put more raptor in it and made it this, like, really smart menace. And then, they didn't really do that in the third one. And apparently they're making a fourth one.
Yeah, well, they are. I think it's, like, the start of a new trilogy sort of thing, though, because they're...
No, it's called Jurassic World 4, I think.
Well, either way, it's, like, new cast sort of stuff. Like it's gonna have a new lead.
Canada is responsible for the largest non-nuclear explosion.
Jurassic Park 1 may be one of my favorite movies, but we don't need more.
Yeah, I think it depends on what your idea is, right? I think you can do good IP spin-offs, but a big element of that is it's simply having a good story to tell in the first place.
Canada burned the White House down.
I really liked. I liked the new trilogy, at least the idea of it, where they're bringing it back, they're trying it again, but with like modern safety stuff, and it works out well at first. The idea of that is good. I don't think they needed to do 3 movies. I think the Jurassic World movie 1 was pretty good by itself. We didn't need more.
I can agree with that. I do like Chris Pratt, but I think just specifically with the execution of the original Jurassic World, it also feels like when it comes to like when they made the original movie, they weren't really thinking about Jurassic World 2 at the same time, Jurassic Park 2 at the same time. And it comes off in the way that these characters are perfect for the film they decided to make, but there's absolutely no reason to continue on with them, right? They weren't designed for longevity of a franchise. They were designed to work perfectly for the film set in front of them, right? Like, for example, there's no reason going forward that Ian Malcolm should even like assist or be like make himself known alongside Laura Dern and the main character guy, you know? Alan, yeah. There's no reason for them to associate with each other after this film. They don't have like any major element in common. They were really 2 very different people brought to this same situation, and were put in this uncomfortable situation out of their ability. You know, like
It's probably good to mention I've never watched the original ones.
You absolutely should. You should watch the first Jurassic Park. We're definitely both recommending the film, and I would go as far as to say
if you haven't. I got a question for you. If you're coming here and you haven't watched it,
it's
why?
before my time.
I think the whole point of our podcast is to try to get people to watch movies they wouldn't have seen otherwise. And Jurassic Park is kind of one of those films that everybody knows it exists, but not everybody has seen. And
I mean, definitely, like with our modern time, like I grew up watching Jurassic Park 3 because that was like the newest one for me, and that came out I think like a few years before I was born.
Mm-hmm.
So like most people who would be watching our stream, we're gonna assume like the average Twitch viewer, which is like 16 to 20, has probably only seen the World movies.
Yeah, if any of them.
Yeah, if any of them. So, having them, like, I guess it is a good thing that we're trying to get people to watch it. So, yeah, it's definitely recommended. I recommend the entire original trilogy, but if you want to watch just one, just watch the first one.
I would go as far as to say, being the film snob that I am, that the first Jurassic Park is a perfect film. It is truly. I was
always more into sci-fi as a wee child.
It is. I would say a 10 out of 10. It fits my definition of 10 out of 10. It is a gorgeous movie. We didn't even talk about the soundtrack. I nearly orgasmed watching this movie. The music is so fucking fire. It brought me to climax. It is so amazing. Like the elements that like
you went beyond tears, you just came everywhere.
Exactly. So there's an aspect
the original Aliens is goated.
The original Aliens is goated. Yeah. There's an aspect to the story, right? So you have these characters. They're paleontologists. They spend their entire life postulating about dinosaurs and what they must have been like when they were around. And then Hammond shows up. They have no idea what Hammond has accomplished, and then they arrive at the park, and they're first now seeing the Brontosaurus. And the music, it brings you into their level. It brings you to their energy. Yeah. It gives you that like ecstatic emotion that the characters are feeling at that specific point in time. And it's just so fucking amazing. The music is literally like moving. It commands such a presence, and it has that old theatrical like effect on me, where it works so hard to heighten the experience of the film, you know, in a way that a lot of modern soundtracks don't.
I mean, a lot of modern soundtracks just use like a popular song for it, whether it's modern or not. A lot of modern movies just use a popular song. Very rarely, unless it's like Marvel or Star Wars, they have like their own soundtrack for it.
I don't think it's rare. I just think it's not noticeable most of the time. Fucking Madam Web has a full score, so it's not rare. It's just not always done well.
Watch Madam Web?
I did. I saw that shit in theaters.
Here's the thing, there's movies that are beloved and
Was it
praised to
good?
high hell, and then I watch it and I'm
fuck
like,
no.
that was surprisingly mid.
Okay.
Yeah, I would really recommend these that you go and watch the first Jurassic Park. It is a fucking phenomenal film. It's really good. I forgot that Samuel L. Jackson was in this movie. I fucking love Samuel L. Jackson. He's amazing. He did not get enough credit. That man has been shortchanged in Hollywood. He's never won Best Actor, which is a fucking crime.
You think so? He's been shortchanged?
Yes.
He's Frozone. He's Nick Fury.
In terms of recognition.
He's Mace Windu.
That's what I'm saying. He's done so much work, but in terms of like the Academy recognition for the Oscars, he's been completely underappreciated.
Well, it's because I was gonna say, like, most of the movies that he's known for, he's not the main focus of. Like, there aren't many. I guess like the Captain Marvel, Nick Fury was pretty prominent in, but like he's most known modernly as Nick Fury in the Marvel.
Favorite movie / game actor go.
Unless it's like Secret Wars, which almost nobody watched, he's not really the main focus.
I was just gonna ask favorite movie / game actor. I don't know many game actors except for Matthew Mercer, but favorite movie actor just kind of depends on the day. Sexist movie actor goes to Jesse Plemons for me. That's my take of the day. But if you want to talk about movies where Samuel L. Jackson is very prominent, have you seen Pulp Fiction?
I haven't seen it. I've seen a lot of clips of it. I know he's like the main character in it.
Pulp Fiction's kind of a mix of a lot of different characters. It's nearly an anthology.
Wasn't that his like first major role?
I don't think so. I would be very surprised if it was. I don't believe so. I don't think that was his first major role. But it was very early in his career, I would say.
I personally, I remember him from...
Mine's both the
Jurassic
actors for
Park.
Sam Fisher,
He
Michael
was Mace
Ironside,
Windu
and I don't
in
remember
Star
the other's
Wars
name.
Original, not the prequels, although I think he's really only in Revenge of the Sith. No, he's in Attack of the Clones, I think.
He's in all three of the prequels. Well, no, he's not in Phantom Menace.
Was he?
Maybe he's in
I was
Phantom
about to say,
Menace?
yeah, he wasn't in... I don't think he was in Phantom Menace.
I don't know.
That was mostly when Skywalker was a kid, and he didn't really show much of the Council.
I'm not going to rewatch
That
that
was more
shitty
of just
movie.
Obi-Wan. It wasn't that good. But, like, I remember him from that. I remember him as Nick Fury. And, like, aside from Captain Marvel...
Oh, real quick,
and
if you press F or click on this terminal, it'll heal up all your Temtem. And then the one to the right is, of course, the box. Sorry, continue.
I was gonna say, like, so, like, at
Hey,
least
Tree, I'm
to a
gonna have to
modern
learn to fold
audience,
wood.
he plays a lot of supporting roles.
Yeah, I'd agree.
In movies.
That
So,
is
like-
typically what he does, yeah.
So, like, it's not exactly his fault, but you're right, he does deserve more recognition.
There's a category
Well,
for
he
Best
just-
Supporting Actor for a reason. Just saying.
Also, he needs to be allowed to say motherfucker in the Marvel movies.
Exactly, I agree. just fucking
100%.
alienate the kids in the audience. Who fucking cares about the kids?
I mean, like, they finally dropped the F word in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
She got the bicolors.
That was the first time it was said in the Marvel series. And then I think they said it 100 and something times in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, they said it a handful of times in Deadpool and Wolverine for sure. I'm not gonna go out of my way to count it. I'm watching.
Oh no, somebody did. I think it's like 118.
118. That's quite a bit.
But they need to let him. They need to let Nick Fury say it.
Absolutely, I agree. Real quick, do you want to hit this guy with like a light attack, and then I'm gonna try to catch him?
Oh sure. I'll kick him.
Give him a kick. Kick him again. Kick his dick in. I want the pod. I want the pod.
You want the Metapod?
I want the Metapod. So, moving on to our next topic of discussion. The elements of... I think the way that they pull off the twist in the film with the dinosaurs being able to reproduce...
Grab his dick and twist it.
...is actually, like, really well done.
I love it how that's the twist of the movie.
Well, it makes sense, right? It's terrifying. Like the having these enormously dangerous creatures and losing your ability to control the population is really horrifying.
Yeah. I guess so. I guess when you look at it in that sense, you are right with that.
I do think that this film is an excellent survival horror movie. It's truly terrifying, and it really it works extremely hard to nail those sequences where there's not only like a dinosaur threat, but there's also a more physical threat as well. Like if they're hanging off of something, if they're stuck underneath a car, if they're having to climb down from a tree, if they're like walking up the electric fence, and like the horror is, what is the fence going to turn on, that sort of thing, you know?
Yeah, and they do that.
It's truly, it's very, very well executed. Extremely like scary stuff, and it really brings you to the edge of your seat. Very effective horror. So I have to praise the film for that aspect. I'm typically not a big person who likes horror films, but I can really appreciate that for this film. They wanted to make the situations as heightened as possible, and it's extremely effective in doing so. Mm-hmm. I call catching this kaku.
We already have one on our team.
That's true. I guess I'll
Maybe
pass
enjoyment of a movie is tied to my attraction to the monster.
That's not a bad... I can relate to that. I get that, Deez. I see where you're coming from. And there's some sexy dinosaurs in the movie, so if that's what you're looking for, that's what you're looking for.
Who's mentioning sexy dinosaurs?
Nobody.
Really?
Moving on. We're talking about sexy.
Which one?
I don't know. I'm just.
Which one?
I'm not as scaly. I don't know what. I don't know what.
My number one.
As the shark sitting in the chair, which one?
I don't know. I don't find dinosaurs particularly attractive, to be honest. So I couldn't tell you which dinosaur is the sexiest.
All right. If you had to pick one, which one would it be?
It's got to be the Velociraptor, just because the build is very compatible.
You know, unlike you, I don't want to do animals, so...
Shut the fuck up! You asshole! Goddamn! Rude? But, I was talking about sexy in Jurassic Park, though. Fucking, Ian Malkovich, oh my goodness. That's a hot man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
I fucking, I love, it's so hard for me. Jeff Goldblum. I don't know why it's difficult for me to remember Jeff Goldblum's name sometimes, because this is very unique. But that man is extremely attractive, and this film came out at the peak of his attractiveness. So it was very nice to see that watching the film this time around.
Yeah.
I think
able to see
I thought you were gonna talk about women. I was prepped to say you.
Laura Dern's also great. I haven't seen a lot of her films, but I mostly know Laura Dern from A Jurassic Park, where she plays the other, like, the paleobotanist. And then I also know Laura Dern from Marriage Story. Have you seen Marriage Story on Netflix?
I haven't.
That's a Best Picture nominee. Maybe cry my fucking eyes out. Excellent film. Highly recommend. That's with her and Adam Driver. But she's a fan-fucking-tastic actress. I really love her passion for the animals in the film. I like that these characters, they're so... The element of everybody being out of their comfort zone in the movie is so palpable. And it's really fun to see how her passion for these creatures instantly transfers over to this person is actually one of the best set people to help, like, be like a dinosaur veterinarian, right? It was really nice to see her care for the what's the name of that
Triceratops?
The Triceratops, yeah. To see her care for the Triceratops. That was lovely. It's a great scene.
Did you know, to keep the movie realistic, they used actual Triceratops dung when she had to go sift through it to see if there's berries in there?
What's the worst movie you've ever seen?
They wouldn't keep it
is a
realistic,
tough
they used
question.
actual Triceratops dung.
I've seen a lot of really bad movies, G's. That's a bit more of a difficult question than you might think. I really like that element of the film, her care for the animals. I liked like they split the party, quote unquote, in the movie, by her going off and staying with the dinosaur.
I have one that's literally unbeatable.
I think it's that sort of situation where she just has this skill set that nobody else really can compare to, you know? It makes the it makes that character feel like it pays off in all possible ways. You know, the film is very efficient with its characters, and I really appreciated that. Are you able to kill this fucking thing? Because I can't do shit with my little P-nice.
I think both of us are just like mid stages. We're just like defense thing.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but are we gonna talk about the lawyer in the room?
Oh, the one that gets bitten in the shitter?
Yeah.
He plays the very stereotypical lawyer type character.
Yeah, he plays the part well, and I like the idea of like having a lawyer on board to be like, hey, we need you here for the investors. And the idea of that's pretty cool. I like that. But they probably could have done more with him.
Yeah, I guess I can see that. There's already a lot of characters in this film, and as it being the first movie, they have to introduce all these characters. Yeah. And he's definitely not one that they want to spend a whole bunch of screen time on, and rightfully so, because he's quite generic. There's not a lot about him that really makes him interesting alongside the other characters. You know, he's not very unique at all. So I'm okay with allowing him to be just a side character. And in horror movies, you need bodies, right?
Yeah. I also love how, like, when they're eating dinner or lunch, whatever, together, he's the only person on the side of the park because he just wants to make money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was really fun. It was, the part of, like, Hammond being so invested in his park idea, and he cares so much about it. Just the way that he delivers that line, where he said, "I flew all these experts out to help me with my park, to vouch for it, and the only person I have out of my side is the blood-sucking lawyer." And that really that comes off very strong. It feels so genuine. It's all about his true care for what he's doing. And it's really nice to see. I love the more cinematic conversation aspect where they're talking about he's talking about his flea circus to Laura Dern, and he's talking about how he wanted to make something that was real for his audience to see and to enjoy, and how like the children at his flea circus, they would like look and point at and they'd say, "Mom, I can see him, I can see him," and he just wanted. He wanted to create joy, and Laura Dern like gives him that rude awakening where he just says, you know, she says that it's what you have here is not real. Your the facade that you've created here, the balance that you've manufactured is fake. It's this is an artificial realm. So in all reality, it's truly no different. Which is, it's both a harsh truth, but also it's a really nice addition of depth to Hammond as a character, you know? Because there's a flaw when you're the guy who decided to make the dinosaur park that's killing everybody. There's something wrong with what you're doing, and it comes out very strongly in their discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, gonna water blade this guy.
Destroy him.
Eat water, shit lips. So, what's the next thing we want to talk about?
We didn't really talk about what was his name, the hunter.
Sure, the clever girl guy.
Robert. That's his name. Robert Muldoon. That's his name.
Gotcha. He's like the hunter.
He's the guy from the opening scene.
Yeah. It's a really strong scene. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, let's talk about the opening scene. So I love the opening scene. I think it's perfect for the movie because, like, let's say this: you're going in without context to this is a dinosaur movie. So you have this cell, not a cell, but like this cage with something inside of it, and all these people heavily armed around it. You are questioning what's in there, and then once it opens and it malfunctions, you see this little outline of what it was, which we know is a velociraptor, but we don't get a good look at it, and it just grabs a guy, and then it pulls him in, and they're doing everything they can to save him, and you're just on the edge of your seat wondering, what is that in the cage? What is in there?
It's a really scary scene. Very effectively
scary.
done. I'd like to share about this scene. I really love when the cinematography is extremely effective in the movie, and there's the one shot where he says shoot her, and the movie it zooms in on the guy's mouth when he says it. It's one of those very punchy sort of shots that just it increases the tension.
I like to imagine they have him laying on a bench, on another room. They have a camera really zoomed into his mouth just for that shot.
I mean, that's realistically how these shots are taken, which is funny. But it those really short but oddly framed shots can add an emphasis. It's like an exclamation exclamation point on a shot, and it's very well utilized in this film. Talking about the effects and everything, the CGI for the film is mostly used in very reserved ways. In terms of if they were to remake this movie now, what changes would they make?
They would do a lot more CGI.
They probably would, which would be a very unfortunate because most of the strength of the film is the actual puppets. It makes them feel real, Yeah. They're really present. And you would lose a lot of that if you relegated the film to be mostly CGI. But as well, there's I think the biggest limitation that the film sees is that initial shot when they're looking out and they see all the brontosauruses and herds and everything. A lot of the meme lines for the film, the ones that have become literal memes, they do walk in herds and everything, they're all really well founded in the characters of the movie. It's truly amazing because he spent so much of his life speculating about what the behavioral patterns for these creatures we'll never be able to see are like, and he's getting validation for his work. It's truly emotional. I really feel for the characters of the film.
One thing I noticed with their expressions, they have a sort of childlike awe when they see the dinosaurs. Like how a child would first see something in a zoo, like this kid who's read about lions and tigers and bears, oh my, in books. And it's the first time they see it in real life at a zoo. But it's these grown adults who've been studying these things for all their life, finally seeing it, and their expression is just so priceless. They're so shocked to see it's real. I think
the childlike wonder is a very strong theme in the film.
Yeah.
When Hammond talks about the park, he talks about when the children, his grandchildren, come by. He says that they're the reason that this park exists, right? This is the target audience for our park, which is wild because, in all reality, every person in the world should be absolutely pinpoint focused on what's happening here. This is this is the scientific breakthrough of the century, sort of stuff, and depending on what the actual setting of the world is.
I mean, like, the blood-sucking lawyer was like, so, like, what are we thinking, like, $1,000 for a day?
Mm-hmm.
Which, keep in mind, that's, like, 1990s money, because this movie came out in 1993.
Yeah.
So that would be, like, what? Judging based off inflation, that might be, what, like, $2,000?
Mm-hmm.
So we're assuming that, like, that lawyer guy's expecting them to charge $2K per ticket per day. But, like, what was his name? Hammond was like, no, I don't want it to be expensive. I want everybody to experience this.
Yeah.
So he's, like, there, not, like, thinking about profits. He's probably sitting there expecting a net loss at the beginning, because not everybody's going to be able to get there, and it's going to be pretty cheap to get in. He really just wants to provide an experience for the younger generation. He wants to give the kids something.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, everybody's going to want to go.
I think money is a really strong theme throughout the film, and I very much appreciated that within the context of the movie. It was very realistic in that painful sort of way, you know. It's a bit of a biting reveal throughout the film. How often money runs what happens. For example, like the funding for their project in the first place is why the two main characters, Laura Dern and main guy, are present at the park in the first place, because Hammond agreed to fund their work for the next 3 years for their dig.
Yeah.
Which is tremendous to them. And even the amount of money that they were given, even back in that time, to run an entire paleological research outing, it was not that much funding. So it was it's very interesting to see how it really is truly their passion for the project that keeps them going, right? They're not doing any of this for the funds, but just the opportunity to make sure and guarantee that this is going to continue on further was important enough for them to take this leap, you know? Which was very ominous.
I think that makes them, like, I guess it makes them really good characters if they're, like, going in not for the money, but for, like, the experience, the actual doing it, like having it done.
They're like the characters. They're like, in terms of like motifs in films. There's an internal argument in a movie about what truly matters in life. This is for all pieces of art, and specifically with this movie, you have the people whose like their whole purpose is revolved around funds. And then the people who have found a greater meaning in their lives, you know? And for the characters, for Laura Dern, for the scientists here, they truly are in it for the benefit of knowledge and society. And Hammond is in it for the ability to bring joy to other people. But the lawyer and Ned, funding is their primary motive, and it leads to destruction. Hammond is interesting because he exhibits a bit of like willful ignorance, you know. He's willing to go for any accomplishment, no matter truly what the costs are. So there's the irony, right, to the statement that he says over and over in the film, which I really appreciate, that he has this like reoccurring line, which is "spared no expense," right? But in all reality, that is the ultimate doom of the group, is that he truly the expenses he spared were whether or not to go ahead with what he did, you know. That element of like Ian saying never stop to think if you should, you know. It is a bit of a corny line, but it's also very true to the film and to the issues the characters experience, you know?
Yeah.
Gosh, looks like we have some fights up here. Is there a...
I'm sorry I'm not giving like big reactions. I'm kind of just a little tired from work.
That is fine. Entirely understandable. We should probably
I usually any other day I would be able to like talk about this all day. I'm just kind of tired.
That's okay.
But I don't. That doesn't mean I want to stop. I want to keep going.
No, yeah.
Another maybe hour.
We can have chill vibes. Chill vibes are fine.
I just whenever you're gonna say a big thing, I'm gonna be like, yeah, that sounds about right.
I really I can't say enough good things about the film. Like I said, it's very funny. It's a very effective horror film. It's a gorgeous looking movie. The puppetry is fantastic.
They don't try to do horror. It feels more like a drama, but they do horror really well in it.
Well, you gotta have some elements of horror, right?
It's kind of like with the I think about this in the Godzilla-y way, where a lot of movies where they have like this big monster in it. The main reason people are going to watch that movie is for Godzilla, it's for King Kong, to see that big monster fight. But it's kind of like Godzilla -1. I haven't seen it, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. How they do the human characters so well. You're more invested in them than you are like the monster film, like the monster of it.
But you didn't come to the movie for the human characters. You came there for the monster, but you got a great human story.
Yeah.
Oh. I entirely agree, for sure. I really appreciate how strong the human characters are in the film. They really do lead the movie, which is super important because you can't just make the dinosaur movie about the dinosaurs, right? There needs to be some sort of backbone to it.
I mean, if you're gonna make a dinosaur movie about the dinosaurs, just look at something like The Good Dinosaur, which is that one Disney movie.
Well, the dinosaurs are humans. They talk. They're in like a interdependent society. They're humans.
Okay, what about Land Before Time, where the Tyrannosaurus Rex wasn't articulate like the rest of them? It was just a bad guy.
That's we don't talk about Land Before Time. That's off limits.
I grew up on that.
I watched a bit of Land Before Time, but I definitely wasn't entirely like watching every single film religiously, because it definitely went downhill there for a bit. There is a great video on YouTube. I can't remember who the uploader is, who discusses all the Land Before Time spin-offs and everything.
I couldn't say anything good or bad about it because I haven't watched the movie since I was like a 7-year-old bottomite, but back then I loved it because it was just dinosaurs being dinosaurs.
Sure, I can't really speak on it. It's been forever since I've seen it, but I did appreciate the film back in the time. I do like the director quite a bit. His films, he's got like a very defined like art style and makes some very good 2D animation. So I guess I could agree. I feel like even though most of the film isn't the horror, I would still say that the horror is a major portion of the film, if that makes sense. It's definitely the drawing point, right? I think, well, I would say that Spielberg, he does concept really strong in his movies. The idea of the dinosaur theme park, you know that Spielberg, with his strong visuals, is going to do his damnedest to give you a visual journey into what it would be like if you went into a wilderness, like a park, a nature park that was populated with dinosaurs. You know, that's the Spielberg guarantee in a way.
I feel like because of these movies existing, we will never have a real dinosaur park because people will be too scared to make one.
There's a lot of issues involved, right? The difficulty of making a viable fetus from individual strands of DNA is impossibly difficult to imagine. So, like, the best we have is modifying like in process birth, right? You can insert strands of DNA, but we can't as of yet artificially create mammal life without parentage before it. You know, we can create bacteria, we can culture bacteria, but we can't create like significant life. So I don't think that'll be something I'll see in my lifetime.
To do something like this, we would take like an ancestor of the dinosaurs that we have now. Like, I think chickens are pretty close to dinosaurs. Mm-hmm. And we would, like, over generations introduce DNA strands that make it more similar to the point that after multiple generations, we will have something very dinosaur-like.
I guess I could see that. I feel like when it comes to what would we actually do if creation of life from raw materials was a technology available to us, right? Or it was in active research or development. I feel like the first thing that they would do, I think that ethics would be a pretty big issue in this. So I feel like the first thing that a lot of people would talk about, they would probably just start making bugs first. Because nobody's going to ask about the ethics of making and killing bugs, right?
I think people would, because of things like malaria and other bug-bound diseases, I think people might question the ethics and how that might not be a good idea.
Sure.
But
it's less along the lines of, like, animal testing issues.
Mm-hmm. One thing about it is, imagine you're a mosquito living in dinosaur times, and you go and suck the blood of a dinosaur. And then you do it to another one, and then you're frozen into amber, and this all happens. I don't think that like the mosquito, like their explanation is they take the amber, they take the leftover blood out of the mosquito, which most likely is pretty possible to get their DNA, but I don't think they would have pure singular dinosaur DNA. I think they would have like a couple different dinosaurs in there, and because we don't know what dinosaur DNA looks like, we wouldn't be able to differentiate them.
No, we're pretty good at understanding genome size, and then not only genome size, but also a genome function. For example,
we've had like many hundreds of years of experience with the animals we have now.
Yeah,
these are things we've never seen before. Not never seen before, but like you know what I mean.
We have analogs though, and again, the DNA structure of like you brought up the chickens, right? That is actually true. Those are one of the some of the closest dinosaur relatives. So there do exist functional groups of DNA within chickens and birds that we could use to create analogs to what we would expect from dinosaur DNA. There's also the element that the DNA of a... Oh, I didn't mean to summon your Pokemon. That was an accident. The DNA of a mosquito and the DNA of a dinosaur are extremely different. The easiest one is just in size. The DNA size necessary to create the organs of a mosquito is much smaller than the DNA size necessary to create that of a dinosaur. So... Yeah. I think the bigger issue is, are there intact blood cells within a mosquito to harvest and to use? That's a pretty big question.
There would be a chance of that, but the chance of that is very, very slim.
I mean, organic cells contain within them energy that can be broken down and digested, and that's pretty much the first thing the mosquito is going to do. That's why they're sucking your blood in the first place, is to gain the energy from the chemical processes you do in your body to make that blood exist, you know, and to benefit from that. So the mosquito's body is going to digest those organic molecules. So it can continue to live.
It's not digesting them all at once. Because, like, when we eat something, we don't digest it all at once. Our stomachs slowly break it down.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there would at least be something left over.
But the first thing to go would be, like, the cell membrane, and then you have, like, then you start breaking down, like, the tissue within the cell itself. And when it comes to the DNA, right? It's actually there's a lot of like really strong chemical bonds within DNA that part of that digestion process is converting these like larger strands into usable energy. So I feel like there is an issue. Like if you talk to a scientist about the possibility in the far future of a Jurassic Park situation, the first thing would be like preservation and availability of that maintained DNA. I think the other issue is that the presence of mosquitoes maintained in amber is extremely rare. There's also the aspect of just how long ago the Cretaceous period was, and how compact the sediments from that time period are, and how there are inorganic processes that occur underneath the surface of the Earth that process that flatten out and make these resources inaccessible. And so I feel like there are a lot of boundaries to something like this occurring naturally, throughout just the course of history. But it's still a really cool thought experiment, the whole Steve Spielberg thing is the what if, and everything else evolves shortly from there, and it's extremely entertaining, right? If the movie's primary goal is to be entertaining, it accomplishes that absolutely.
Also, one thing I want to talk about, not about the movie, but a lot of children's media in terms of dinosaurs is very factually incorrect. Fun fact, the Stegosaurus lived about 155 to about 150 million years ago in the late Jurassic period, while the Tyrannosaurus Rex lived about 83 to 66 million years ago, which means technically the Tyrannosaurus Rex lived closer to the creation of the iPhone than he did the Stegosaurus.
Yeah.
Yet I have so many children's books of having them fight each other, and oh yeah, the Tyrannosaurus Rex ate these guys for breakfast, and they had spines on their back to protect from being bitten down on. Which there's probably other predatory tyrannosaur dinosaurs like that, but it's just something to think about how the bulk of the dinosaurs that we talk about aren't actually from the Jurassic period.
Mm-hmm.
But I know Jurassic Park's such a catchy title.
Yeah, but it's the dinosaur movie, so we're gonna put the dinosaurs in it, right? If you know a dinosaur, we're gonna put it in the movie. You should heal up your temp real quick.
Where do I heal them up at?
Right here. On the left side. These are the boxes. The heal stations are any of these.
Heal stations are right here.
Yeah. Pick whatever's your favorite. And I specifically chose just to have 3 in my party, so that way the 3 that are available in combat are always the same.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk a bit about Ned in the film, because Ned is such an interesting character. I found myself, while I was watching the film, there's a really great progression. The film understands audience expectations super well, and there's a really great element where I'm thinking to myself about when Ned is there in the room, right? Truly, what benefit does he offer the Jurassic Park as a whole, And
Ned's the fat guy, right?
Yeah. He just seems like a really cumbersome person to work with.
They say that he runs all their systems and stuff, and he talks about it oh yeah, there's nobody else in the country who does this stuff better than I do.
I'm gonna press X to doubt. I think that Ned talks a bit out of his ass,
Definitely.
But then the movie hits you with Hammond sharing that it's his do we have a pig epic? We don't have a pig epic. No, we don't.
No, but
the movie hits you with
he's the best there is, but then he's probably taken 5 classes, which is more than the average person, and he's definitely better than everybody else in the room, but there's definitely people who are better at it than him.
Yeah.
Or maybe because it took place in the 90s, so computers were not as popular as they are now. So I don't think there would be many people as good or better than him. But nowadays, he's a dime a dozen.
I think, but what he says specifically is that that Hammond. It turns out that he is his cousin or something. Not his cousin, his nephew. So that's a really nice touch. It's like, oh, that's why Ned's still here, you know, for all his terrible aspects as a employee. He's related to Hammond, which is why he still has a job there. I think that's pretty fun. I like the element that you can tell there's a lot of history with Ned as a character. There's been struggles in the past, and he talks about how he talks to the guy who's going to sell the embryos to, that Hammond lost him because of like how cheap he was, and then there's the aspect to there's the other element that what am I trying to say? And then when Ned talks to Hammond, Hammond says, "I'm not going to have this conversation with you again." Right? There's obviously a history. Yeah, exactly. So I really appreciate that. It makes the world feel more lived in, you know? These are real people leading real lives that exist beyond the scope of this story. And I really appreciated that. We need to further our training in the dojo in Arisola. Is this Arisola?
Wait, what are we doing here? I haven't been paying attention.
The quests are on the right-hand side. I also have not been paying much attention. But, we need to go to Sophia's dojo. I don't think this is the dojo.
Wait, come to me. You get the best weight. Go back in there.
Mm-hmm.
You get the funniest reference if you come over here. Like, read what the name options are.
Guy Brush, Inigo Montoya. Nice. I love the Princess Bride.
That's a good reference.
That's a good reference.
And I, of course, that's the name I click.
So wait, what do we?
We should talk about that movie at some point.
We should. I do like The Princess Bride. That's a good film.
Is it a bad time to say I didn't make a wheel for the next movie?
No, it's fine because I think the I think we were talking about doing specifically spooky movies, so we can pick a spooky movie out of the list of films I already sent to you.
Actually, next Monday is the 30th, so
it is
spooky.
Okay, so we'll pick a non-spooky movie then, set up for spooky movies later. Let's see. We're in Denise right now. We need to go to Areola. That's
We're going to
nipple.
the Areola.
We are going to the Areola. Maybe okay. I think we can leave now. Actually, we can leave the town now.
We're leaving the Areola.
Yeah, we're leaving the Areola. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we can go to the Thessalian cliffs. We can leave the nipple. What are some other things to say? Like, I guess I can ask, what's your favorite scene in the film?
My favorite scene is it's the opening scene. It is so perfect for the movie. It's like we talked about earlier. It's tense. It's dramatic. It's scary. That's just a stock quack sound for his cry.
It's a good quack.
Quack quack.
I give that quack an 8 out of 10. In terms of on the quack scale.
What was your favorite scene?
Gosh, it's hard to decide. I as a personal fan of like theme parks and everything, I really do like the scene where they're in where they're like sitting down in like the rotating like carousel sort of thing. That was a much more widely seen ride system back in the day, where you had that like rotating like panorama. That was much more common back then. It was really fun to watch.
I remember, this is a very personal thing. I shouldn't talk about it because this kind of doxes me. But, you obviously know what Hershey is, right? The chocolate
Of course,
company.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where they're from, there's their own theme park for it, and they have a ride like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that very much doxes me, because that's in a specific part of the country, that specific theme park. And I could say I could go there on like a weekend because of how close it is.
Yeah, it's very cool. I think about the there's like this Hall of Presidents at Disneyland, and that's typically what my brain goes to when I think of that sort of like. Right.
Do you go to Disney a lot?
I watch a shit ton of YouTube videos on Disney. And I watch nearly almost all of the new Disney movies that come out, but I do not praise them unironically. I'm very critical.
Yeah, you better not be like a Disney apologist.
I'm
Disney's
I'm definitely not a Disney apologist, and I'm too poor to be a Disney park frequent. So.
You mean a Disney adult, which are like adults who go to Disney by themselves?
If I had the funds, I would. I don't know if I'd go with myself because I'd just invite whoever I would with me. You know, sharing your life with other people increases the fruitfulness of it. So.
Who needs other people?
Yeah, based. Very true. Very epic pilled.
My partner went to bed. I can be like, who needs other people? Who needs relationships?
Valid point. So I probably would be. I would probably be a full-on Disney adult if I had the funds to do so. Mm-hmm. But I would still maintain an element of criticism because that's just who I am. You know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, right now Disney should be under criticism because like all they're doing is making remakes, making continuations that don't need to be continued on. Like, do we really need a Toy Story 5?
Pixar's doing a little bit better than Disney as a whole. Disney live action has been nothing but like remakes and shit for ages. But
I'm gonna talk about Disney for Toy Story for a moment.
Okay.
The ending of Toy Story 3 was perfect because it felt like an actual ending to the series. Because the story was about Andy and his toys. Now his toys are being passed on to Bonnie. But so you feel like that's a good ending. But then they did Toy Story 4, where it's about how a toy doesn't need an owner, and how Woody chose to stay at the park with Bo Peep. That's her name, I think.
Yeah, stay at the that town. Yeah.
But then the Disney 5, somebody showed an image of Disney 5, and Woody's in it with the rest of them, which means he comes back somehow. Which doesn't make sense.
I don't like that. I did not like that as a part of the reveal for Toy Story 5. That does feel very out of place for the Toy Story 5th film.
If they're going to have a Toy Story 5, unless they're going to center it around Woody with his new life, don't have him in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can agree on that. I think that was definitely a mistake. I think the gang would have worked with just Buzz and everybody else. They're just too afraid of creative decisions.
What was that? I didn't hear you.
I said that
Sorry.
They're too afraid.
At my door, I was too loud.
They're too afraid of original creative decisions. The formula for the other Toy Story films is that Woody and Buzz are the main characters, and the other films made a lot of money. So will this movie make a lot of money if Woody isn't there? That's the question that the executives are asking themselves. And it feels very shallow that they aren't willing to stick with the culmination they had at the end of Toy Story 4, which I do appreciate Toy Story 4 as a film. I like that it kind of works like a counter-argument to the rest of the movies. But
have you seen the horror edit of Toy Story 3, where you know the scene where they're in the garbage compactor?
Of course I do.
Holding hands and stuff.
Makes me cry every time.
So somebody made an edit where it fades to the credits at that scene, where they don't get saved.
I think I've seen probably that same thing. Yeah.
It's hilarious because it's like, if you show it to somebody who hasn't seen the movies, they think the toys just die.
Yeah, and the scene itself is dramatic as shit. They play the scene as though that's what is actually happening, and the characters in the world think that's what's actually happening too. They're all on board with, yeah, we're fucked. This is how it all goes down. We're gonna hold hands and we're gonna be happy to die all together because we're here all together. And it's fucked up, but that's just Pixar, baby.
It's a kids movie.
That's what they do. They pull the shit that'll give you nightmares and make you cry because that's what they're known for. And I'm totally here for it. I like art that is effective. I like art that makes you feel things. And if that thing that it's making you feel is severely depressed that all your favorite childhood characters are now dead, then yeah, make me feel it. Fuck yeah, I'm down.
Yeah.
Could not be further ready for that. So I will say though, there are a couple more things I want to pull up about Jurassic Park in our discussion before we completely move this tangent across. But I do really love the fact that storms are a very large presence in the film, which makes sense because of the location, right? They say it's close to Costa Rica. I love the joke that Hammond makes where he says, why didn't I build in Orlando? That's super funny. But specifically, it adds the element that to unfortunately help Jeff Goldblum's point, which is that like nature is against what's happening here in this park, and nature also, storms are a part of nature too. So almost all of the threats of this film are very nature driven, which is very nice to see. So like one of the major like contrivances of the plot to make the plot happen in the first place is still very along the tone of nature. Another element I would bring up is that during like the Cretaceous period and everything, there was extremely high rain. So it makes sense that they chose specifically where they did in the world, because that's probably one of the only places in the world that could actually pull off this sort of environment well. But it also works to the fact of making you feel more like you're in the habitat that these creatures were in when they were alive, you know? Biggest cringe came from Ian Malcolm's very sexist comments throughout the film. Some of those were a bit rough.
As a product of its time.
A little bit, yeah. I think his character is very real in that way, but it's still unfortunate, I feel. It adds an element of discomfort to the film. Sense. I still appreciate the movie, but that's a blemish if only because the rest of the film is not as uncomfortable in that sort of way, and it's a bit unnecessary because only his character really exhibits that trait, you know? But I do...
I think they build upon that and like kind of improve his character in the second one. I think he's a big part of the second one.
Mm-hmm. He does become like a franchise mainstay, I know that. But... It is just a bit uncomfortable for the film itself that he's around like this. Oh, so be careful with the stamina bar. If you overuse stamina, that deals damage to your health, and you can see that predicted in your attack. Yeah. So yeah, instead of the PP system, you have stamina. Yeah. So you can sometimes kill yourself by using too much stamina, which is really nice. It actually, like, the combat of this game is so much more heightened over your average Pokemon because of those elements of strategy. Other things to mention, I do like the element that with his chaos and such, he accepts things in the world that are irregular, you know, his quirkiness. And one of the things he brings up is that he's always looking for the next ex Mrs. Malcolm, you know. He recognizes his like pattern of behavior, and that it ultimately leads in divorce most of the time. Real quick, so there is a mechanic in this game called the Temescence Vial. So if you go to your items in your backpack, I think is where you use it. The Temescence Ampule, it'll heal your squad to half their HP. And then when you go back, so is it... what I think the file gets refilled. So no, it's not the ampule, it's the file. The file refills every time you go to the healing station. So when we go back to the next healing station, you can fill that up for free just by doing your normal heal. So that allows you to have a bit more longevity while you're doing all these like trainer fights and trainer battles in a row.
Oh, that makes sense.
So what are some other aspects of the film that I'd really like to bring up in this discussion?
Character in it?
I do like Ian Malcolm a lot as just the shit ass. I think my favorite character would be Hammond. I feel like he's very dynamic in the film. His motivation entirely makes sense. There's always that character in the horror film that dooms everybody else by their own actions, and that's who Hammond is in this movie. And I think it's a very original take. It embodies an interesting aspect to like the capitalism discussion in this film in comparison to other media.
Yeah.
And he's also just like an enjoyable character to watch. His intentions are pure, but I think that the movie embodies very well that pure intentions does not necessarily mean pure action.
Yeah.
What about yourself? Who's your favorite character in the film?
I find it funny. I looked up. I have have a sheet of all the characters. Looked it up on Google, and they have Raptor 1, which is one of the Velociraptors, as the characters on it. I just find that funny.
Yeah, it makes a bit more sense in the later movies when they do actually get names.
That and Mr. DNA is one of them, but he's an amazing character. I like Alan Grant and his like character arc in the movie.
Sure.
Like how he went from he went from this like guy who like at first when his trailer was broken into with this random old guy drinking his champagne, he's like, could you please leave? To sure, I go on with it, and no, I don't want kids to having to deal with the kids, then having to save the kids. And how he kind of grew to be this almost father-y type character.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really great.
As a person who has no interest in having children, seeing an arc in a film about a character learning to want to have kids, is not very enjoyable. But I think it is done effectively.
It's not okay. It's not that it's not, you have to find that enjoyable. It's that it's showing character growth. It's showing character development.
Oh, I understand. I understand completely. I just I wish that he learned the opposite answer. I wish the kids were as shitty as kids are in real life, and he learned to hate kids, because that's the real answer.
No.
That's my take. However hot or cold you think that is.
I personally don't want kids, but as an older cousin of most of my cousins, I've kind of grown up with dealing with little kids and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I get that. I'm being a bit exaggerative, but I do. I just as personally, it's one of those things where I wish he learned to be stuck in his ways further. Yeah. There is the sort of trope of the person who continuously reinforces their own set beliefs, and that's just one of those moments where I wish he just had learned the wrong lesson from this. We can all dream.
I mean, I love good character development. I love how I'm gonna use Avatar: The Last Airbender as an example.
Oh yeah.
But you know who Zuko is, right?
Of course, I love that ATLA. Mm-hmm.
He went from this character who was hell bent on getting the Avatar, having his head at his father's feet to be like, "Father, accept me again." Then to this morally gray character who did crime, not just for his own more survival rather than his own gain, to a character who's redeemed himself to the point that his immune system has rejected him. He gained a moral compass and immediately got sick.
Mm-hmm.
And lost his firebending too. But I find that to be really cool that in the entire show, they built up his character development to being the main villain to their biggest help. So seeing good character development, no matter how big or small it is something I really like.
Yeah, and that takes effort in writing. That can be difficult to do. Another difficulty in writing is writing couples. It's so much easier to write characters in conflict and flux than it is to write characters in a stable portion of their lives. So I think a thing a really good story does is it shows you a character that thinks that they are completely along the right path, and even better if the movie can convince you that the character is doing the right thing. But then later on, you see they learn the error of their ways and they grow. Yeah. And because you didn't notice that in the first place, they also you kind of grow with them a bit. Mm-hmm. Which I think is pulled off very effectively in this film. I think the movie sets itself up well for you not to fully understand. I'm going to try to catch this, Genki. For you not to fully understand that what Hammond is doing is what the mistakes he's made here are, right? You could surely convince yourself that just the raw decision is wrong in the first place, but there is a bit more of a background to his problem. What am I gonna name this guy? Is Zappy Bits. There we go. Oh, evolve. My pod is finally evolving. Now it can attack. Yay! Jesus Christ, that took forever. I hate the Pokemon trope of, yes, this character can do nothing but poison enemies.
Magikarp, Metapod.
Yeah, exactly. That's the worst.
Can we talk about Pokemon for a minute?
Yeah, go ahead. Talk about Pokemon. Do it.
So there's a lot of people. You know what a Gen 1er is?
Is that like people who really like the first gen of Pokemon?
So a Gen 1er is somebody who likes Generation 1, praises it as the best generation, and with the exception of sometimes Generation 2, which was more DLC than a new game, because about half of Generation 2 was supposed to be in Generation 1, they just couldn't fit it on their limited hardware. But for the most part, a Gen 1er will hate all future generations, will say they're all bad, they were all cash grabs, and then point out Pokemon like Garbodor, who's a living pile of garbage, or Vanilluxe, who's a floating piece of ice cream. And like in Gen 5. Gen 5's personally my favorite generation, because that's the generation I grew up on.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also too blind to see that Gen 1 Pokemon is something like Machoke, who's a man. He's just straight a person. You got a Pokemon like Jinx, who's just a very ugly woman.
Yeah.
And I don't... Like, a lot of... I'm gonna be honest, a lot of Gen 1 Pokemon are really, really bad.
I could see that from a design argument.
Like, at least to me, they're really bad because you got Pokemon, like, especially the modern games, who, like, the modern games, especially, like, the last two, put thought and detail into, like, what Pokemon should be in this generation based off of the region they're based off of. So, like, I know the first 4 games weren't thinking of that, because they were, like, the first game, they were probably not expecting it to get to the level it was at now.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of just like any designs they puked up, they made. But you gotta remember, Executor exists. He's a tree with legs and heads. Nothing else. He's a tree with legs.
But his heads are the coconuts. That's kind of cute.
Okay. What about Execute? It's a half a dozen eggs.
It's still cute.
Do you know the Pokemon seal? It's a seal. You would never guess what its evolution Dugong is.
What's the Dugong? Is that another seal?
It's a Dugong, which is a real animal.
I did not know that.
Like,
let the record show. I did not know.
Like at least with seal, they spell it S-E-A-L, so it's C in seal.
Mm-hmm.
But with Dugong, a Dugong is an actual animal. They don't even spell it differently to make it like into a pun or anything. It's just straight up that. Okay. Yes, its Dugong is an actual animal, and it's based off a Dugong, but it has a horn, so it's different.
Yeah, that is kind of goofy, quirky.
So, like, a lot of the original 151 Pokemon were more, like, to be monstery rather than slightly realistic. And I'm not here to defending modern Pokemon. Like, Flamigo is a flamingo. Well, that's all it is. It's just a flamingo. Slightly spelled differently to be Flamigo, because it's your amigo, it's your pal, it's your buddy.
Yeah, it's... I don't know very much about Pokemon, but I can see the argument from the design perspective that it could be, but it's also, like, before there was a precedent, right?
Mm-hmm. So at least from a modern standpoint, Generation 1, I wouldn't call the worst generation, but it's a weak generation.
Sure. I can see that argument. I mean,
it's kind of on top because we're playing Pokemon right now. But
oh, absolutely.
Playing dinosaurs. You want to talk about Not specifically the movies, but the games, their spin-off games and stuff.
I've not experienced any of them. I played a little bit of Lego Jurassic Park, but by a little I mean like an hour. So you go ahead. I'm interested to hear.
Okay. So I played Lego Jurassic Park. It's really good. It's a very faithful recreation. In Lego, very good, very fun.
You had to play as Mr. DNA. I know that. That's pretty cool.
It was pretty fun. I had specifically the one that you get to replay all. It was Lego Jurassic World. So you got to play the first 3 movies and that.
Mm-hmm.
There was also one of those booth arcade game experiences where, like, you know, you sit inside the booth and there's, like, the gun you control and there's Jurassic Park. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, I think I've experienced one of those.
I want to talk about is Jurassic World Live. Do you know what that is?
Is that like a live service game?
No. I mean, technically it leaves microtransactions in it, but it's the Pokemon Go-like mobile game.
Oh! Oh, that's awful. Continue.
So, instead of, how do you think the mechanics work?
Do you just, like, have the random encounters around you, and then you have to, like, shock the dinosaur?
No, you have a drone that can go up to about 150 meters, so that's, like, your range of, like, grasp. And the farther out you go, the less battery it has, but you shoot darts at the dinosaur's weak points and gather its DNA.
Oh.
It's interesting, but you gather DNA to unlock them, you don't straight up catch them. And then, there's hybridization, where you can take 2 of your dinosaurs, they're all preset and pre-made and stuff, and you can hybridize them. And they all, like, mix the names, like the Stegoceratops, so it's a Stegosaurus and Triceratops, and it like, mixes their traits, and they're all pretty cool.
Along the
and
Indominus
then,
route, yeah.
They got the fun stuff, like if you use Tyrannosaurus Rex DNA and Raptor DNA, you get the Indominus Rex, and if you use Indominus Rex DNA and Warvelociraptor DNA, you get the Indoraptor. It's all cool and all, but it's a fucking mobile game.
Yeah. But of all the IPs to make mobile games out of, Jurassic Park is very recognizable, you know? So it's understandable why they would go with a decision like that.
I just find it to be pretty interesting.
Yeah. But...
Did you notice the name I gave my toucan?
I can't see the names you give your Pokemon.
You can't?
I cannot,
you should
no.
be able to.
It says Zazu.
Yeah, it's a reference to Lion King.
Oh, is it? Oh! I thought that was the name of the actual Pokemon.
No.
Oh, okay. No, yeah, I get the Lion King reference. Now that you've mentioned it.
Yeah. I just wanted to know if you noticed.
I did. I thought it was showing the name of the normal Pokemon.
No. I tried with the other Pokemon I had. It was called Kaku. I tried to make it Kako, but it didn't let me type in cock.
Ah, damn. No cock and Temtem? Lame. Game's lame. Game
Sad.
sucks. Game's awful. So, I guess we can talk a little bit about what we would want to watch next week. I think we're reaching about the closing time for our discussion. But I'm not sure if you've like if we've pinned. Did we pin? I know you forgot the wheel, but did we pin our conversation? Let's see.
I think so.
I think I made a full list, right?
You made a list.
I did, yes. Okay, so let me pin both of my messages, and I'll give you a moment to look through that, and then by the end of today, you just ask me some questions if you want about the movies that are on those lists.
Let's do Jurassic Park 2.
No. But yeah, so take a look at those messages, and you can ask me questions about the movies that are on there, and then we will decide by the end of this podcast episode what we choose to do for next time.
I was looking at the Holdovers. It's a Christmas movie, so I think we should wait for Christmas to do that.
Okay. Yeah, it's got Christmas vibes to it.
Why don't you pick it, since I picked this one? I picked this one, you pick the next one.
Alright, that sounds good to me. So we've done, what have we done? We've done a horror film, and we've done a superhero film. So I think we're due for a comedy. So let me pick a comedy out of here.
Do we really consider Jurassic Park horror?
I would consider it horror. Yeah.
I thought it was more like thriller.
Thriller, horror. Yeah, I think it's probably close. You're right. It's probably closer to thriller than it is horror. But that's just an easy nomenclature, you know. So let's go ahead and go with. Question. In terms of animal violence, what's your tolerance? This is important because a lot of art movies have animal violence for some reason.
Why is there so much animal violence?
If I could tell you, I would. But it is a surprising, reoccurring thing. So is that something that you could like if the dog dies in a movie, is that okay?
I would be sad as long as the actual animal isn't harmed.
No, of course not. I would never recommend a movie where an animal is actually harmed in making it. But there are people, like my sibling is a person who cannot watch.
I cried during the Angry Birds movie when the pigs died.
But I do have a sibling who who can't watch movies where animals are harmed, which I understand. I get that. So let's go ahead and do The Lobster. That's a dark comedy. It's a British film. We haven't had any British movies. I like a lot of British films. So you're probably gonna see a handful of British movies.
I hate British people.
But it's really good. It's a dark comedy. It stars
British people.
It stars Colin Farrell. I don't know if you're familiar who Colin Farrell is.
British?
Yes, he's British. He plays. If you've watched the new The Penguin, in the most recent Batman movie, the one with Robert Pattinson, he played the Penguin there. He's pretty recognizable actor. Gotcha. But he's a very strong actor, and the quick concept of it is it's a dark satire, and what if being in a relationship was a requirement in society, and if you were not in a relationship, then you are sent to a place to get into a relationship. And if you do not get into a relationship while you are at said place, then they turn you into the animal of your choosing. That is the movie.
And did he get turned into a lobster?
The animal he chooses is a lobster. That is his animal of choice. So yes, The Lobster then will be our next movie. I don't know if you have. We'll figure out where you can watch it or whatnot. But it's a solid film. I'm excited to show it to you. It's from probably my favorite director of the modern era, which is Yorgos Lanthimos. His most well-known film is Poor Things, which was one of the Best Picture contenders for last year. His films tend to get a pretty good recognition at the Academy. But yeah, very excited to discuss The Lobster next week. Is there anything else we wanted to talk about today before we finish up today's episode?
Nothing particular.
Well, I had a really good time. I loved Jurassic Park. I of course have to end the conversation completely recommending the film. It's a gorgeous movie, beautiful effects, even better soundtrack, great story, excellent characters. It's that's a 10. That's a 10. Great film. Did we make it to the end of this area? Or are we? Oh, there's so much further to go. All right, we'll just call it here then. All right, well, thanks so much for hanging out with me, Shroomy. This is a fun time.
Yeah, we're kind of gonna do it again.
Yes. But I enjoyed having this podcast episode with you. I'll see you later. Thanks so much for watching the stream. I appreciate it. Take care, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you.